Hi guys, Sarah from Miko Blue Tiny Living. So I wanted to stop in today with a little bit of a start point for you guys. So I've been sort of mulling over the very first thing that we did and the very first thing that I really think you should do if you want to live in a tiny house. So I wanted to sort of backtrack a little bit and talk a little bit about why. So look, we came as a family, as a couple, individually. We came to this point that we realized that what society had dictated to us was the standard. It was never going to make us happy. Working 9 till 5, having a huge mortgage, having a huge house, with a living room and a formal living room and a dining room, all that definition, it wasn't going to make us happy. It wasn't going to give us what we wanted out of life. I was coming home and it was like the whole weight of the house settled on my shoulders, all of the clutter and things that we had accumulated or not dealt with. It was like this heavy weight. And I was so tired. I was at the point that, it really felt like I'd finally finish cleaning one room and the rest of the house was already out of control. And so I'd move into the next room and the room that I just finished was out of control and I couldn't keep up with the laundry and the cooking and the cleaning. And it just felt like every moment of our lives was spent trying to fulfill this goal that had been dictated to us, what we were supposed to want. And what we realized was we wanted freedom. We wanted the freedom to follow opportunity, the freedom to set our own work schedule and live by our own values. What we wanted in a nutshell was to be self-sufficient. And I'm not talking about, complete farm where you grow your own grain to make your own bread and, I'm not talking that level. I'm talking being independent as much as possible, as much as practical, as much not giving over your time freedom. So there was this mutual exchange where we were looking for, where we could be self-sufficient enough in ourselves without having to trade all of our time. We wanted time freedom as well. We wanted the freedom to homeschool or volunteer or travel, or if family needed us to be able to go over to family, or if this absolutely amazing opportunity popped up, a job or whatever it might be, that we could do it. We wanted the ability to give us our family value and, quality relationships. We wanted something different than what we were going to get out of the 9 to 5 and a huge mortgage. It just wasn't going to happen. So we sat down and we wrote what we wanted. And it was like magic. I realized I didn't want to look after a big house. I didn't want to spend all of my time maintaining, 4 or 5 bedrooms, because by the time I look after a garden and some animals and do some homeschooling and have some time to work on my hobbies, there's not the time to look after a huge house. There just isn't. And so we wrote down what we wanted, where we wanted to go, right? And I realized that we needed to downsize. We needed to live smaller. We needed to have less. That was obvious. I didn't know exactly the path that we were going to take, but I knew that to get here, what we had to give up was a big house and lots of stuff. It wasn't fulfilling us. It was weighing us down. And so I actually asked in a mum's group who had done this, who had downsized, and like magic, someone went, "Have you seen tiny houses?" And it was just this really cool thing where I got on YouTube. I think it was YouTube. It might have been TV. I think it was YouTube or Pinterest. And it was, that's it. That's what we need. So we researched. We researched for the better part of a year. We were already on this process. We'd been watching our waste and working really hard on reducing our waste. So we were already in this mindset of sustainability. We were already in that mindset. And so then we spent most of the rest of the year researching. We paid for engineered floor plans. We came up with an idea of, what sort of materials and costs we were going to need and what our footprint was going to need to be. Our next step was to order the trailer. We jump in. We did it. In 11 months, we built our home. And now we've been living in here for over 18 months. Now, the first thing If you're at that point and you're wondering how you can do the same, this is the first thing you need to do. You ready? I need you to work out what you want. You need to work out what your end goal is, and then you need to work out what you want from your home. Everything. The budget, style, location, design, time frame. It all comes down to this. You need to know exactly what you want from your home. So I guess the best way I can say this is, if you want really cheap and you want to move ASAP, well, everything, the budget and the design and everything is going to steer you towards that as maybe a caravan. If you really want movability, but you want the structure for home, that is going to define your budget. That is going to define your time frame. That is going to define, you're going towards the tiny house on wheels path. If you want to travel and you've got this vision of what you want, well, your budget's going to reflect that. Your budget, your time frame, everything comes down to what you want out of your home. Do you want something really cheap? You want to get in there straight away. Do you want to travel? Do you want to be completely off-grid? How many people are going to live in it? For how long? Is this permanent? Is this going to be part-time? There's a lot of people that just do this 3 months a year. They go away for 3 months a year and the rest of the time they're in a house. What can you afford to spend? And how much time do you really spend at home? If you're like me, a stay-at-home mum, and you spend a lot of time at home, what you need is probably going to be different to a working family where both the kids, or however many kids, no kids, whatever, when people aren't at home all day. So if you can sit down and you work out exactly what you need out of a home, you need full-time function for 4 people, and you need the ability to move it sometimes, but not all the time, and you have a goal to be in there in 2 years. Great. Now your budget can reflect that. Now you go, okay, so we know we need about this much, whatever it is. If you sit down and you go, right, we want to be on the road in 6 months, we want to travel for 12 months, and then we want to flog it off. This is only a temporary thing. We don't want to do this full time. Great. Start looking at buses, or caravans if that's more your thing. But the first thing you have to do is you have to get crystal clear on your vision of where you're headed to. So for us, our vision was self-sufficiency, having a property, having some animals, having some garden. So to get there, we went, okay, so we've got 2 options, right? We've got the money to buy the land. When we sat down to do tiny living, we actually had the cash to put down for land. And what we realized was, in our price range, it was going to take us at least 12 months to be able to do up the land just to make it functional. Then we'd have to get, house sorted and get approvals and all that sort of stuff. And it was going to be a years-long process of trying to manage this land long distance while still trying to maintain rent or mortgage on what we were living in and job and all the rest of it. Well, you know what? What about if we do this the other way around? What about if we make our mobile home and we live in it and we live with less and we save up and we be intentional? And then in the future, we can move on to land. In the future, we can buy the land and move the tiny house on while we build a house. Or, in the future, there were these options, and we went, this is where we want to go, and this is how we're going to get there. So our vision of what we wanted, wanting to be self-sufficient, wanting a small-scale homestead, wanting, all of those things, that vision, that clarity defined what sort of home we wanted. We didn't want to travel all the time. We knew we would move it sometimes, so it had to be movable. We wanted something that was fully functional as a full-time dwelling for a small family. We knew that. We knew that I was going to be at home most of the time. We knew that. We knew it was going to be at least a couple of years in the house, probably closer to 5. So that defined our vision of what we needed. And then we were able to go, so we need our house to be 7.2 meters. We need this functionality. We need this and this and this. So this is our budget. We were able to work all of that out because we set our intention right before we did anything else. So I hope that makes sense for you, and maybe that's resonated with you a little bit. You know, if your goal is, just do it. You know, if that's your goal, get crystal clear on where you're headed, and then go do it. I hope that was really helpful, guys. Make sure you check out. So if that was really helpful for you, make sure you check out my other resources. So there's some freebie modules about, you know, things that I think you should really know before you move into a tiny house with kids. There's a workbook planner, so you can go from this place of, okay, this is our intention, to now actually brainstorming and mapping it all out. That bundle's there for you for $25, which is pretty cool. There's also the full course, and there's my Facebook group as well, which is a free support group you can jump into. But you know, so get clear on your vision, and then move forward with intention of, okay, so this is your vision. Now, what is the path to get us there? So if you can get crystal clear about your intention, this is going to be a much easier process for you. So have a good day, guys. I hope that's been really helpful. I'd love to hear your feedback. Bye.